Wife cheated and divorced me. Met my estranged wife back in 2016 while she was still dating her ex. We flirted a lot, but nothing happened as she was in a relationship. When she became single in early 2017 we bumped into each other at a bar and we hit it off from there. We were exclusive within a few weeks. She was in med school at the time we began dating. During her last year of that she basically lived at my apartment. Once she began residency a few hours away I would visit her every weekend, and eventually moved in with her in January of 2019. I proposed to her at the end of 2020. We had very few, if any, issues prior to the beginning of 2022, when wedding planning was in full swing. We had pushed off our wedding date to allow her to finish residency, and for me to complete nursing school, without any added stressors. Things began to really turn in the spring of 22. I'm not big on being the center of attention, so components of the wedding were giving me anxiety. My soon-to-be ex was the complete opposite, and she said my anxiety gave her anxiety, and prevented her from looking forward to our wedding. We moved in June of 22 for her fellowship. She seemed to have a major personality shift after this. She got a bump in status and pay, a big office, etc. I was still a CNA finishing up my nursing classes remotely and studying for my NCLEX. We married in September and immediately she went off birth control so we could have a child this year. I passed the nursing board a month later. This is where things really deteriorated. My hospital let me go a week before my boards knowing I'd likely quit once I passed my boards. Even though I'm a male nurse, I struggled to find work because we lived in a predominantly Spanish-speaking area, and I know zero Spanish. This put me into a depression. I was now unemployed, and far away from friends and family after moving for her career. I stopped doing things with my wife, not completely, but not as much as I had been. She was away to see family in February, and while away she called me to tell me how unhappy she was and how alone I've made her feel, that I felt more like a roommate. This hit me hard because I loved her so much and it made me like such a neglectful piece of shit. When she came home I did everything I could to make her happy. I had found a job by this point, but anytime we both had free time I looked for activities for us to do together. We had started couples counseling also, at her suggestion. However, after several weeks I felt that nothing I was doing was making any difference. Two big red flags emerged: clinginess to her phone and she went back on birth control. I woke up before her one morning and checked her phone. Sure enough, I found what I expected. She had been texting a coworker. A lot of very intimate conversations, nude photos, planning meetups, concocting lies to tell me and AP's girlfriend. I immediately woke her to a "what the fuck is this?" and then more or else went nuclear on her for an hour. I also sent AP a barrage of threatening texts, which greatly upset her, as she admitted she had developed feelings for him. I calmed down and we talked about working on things, and that we should just keep this to ourselves. I agreed to this, but after a couple hours I broke and told my brother, my closest confidant, everything. He had already been aware that she was unhappy before my discovery of the affair, and was helping me find ways to improve our relationship. I could feel him seething on the other end. He told me this: "You need to get the fuck out of there, I'll fly out and help you pack, but you need to ditch her ASAP." I didn't want to initially, but seeing how upset she was about my threats to AP, she took this very personally, and how distraught she was over me telling my brother, I agreed to leave. We agreed to continue marriage counseling remotely while she wrapped up her fellowship. I moved back in with my parents and began working immediately. Marriage counseling continued for several weeks until it became clear she was just stringing me along. She told me she was having trouble getting over the things I said to her after my discovery. I told her I was sick of her shit, and she then said she was going to file. She made good on her word. A few weeks later a co-worker of hers reached out to me to tell me she was openly with AP at work, meaning the affair only continued to accelerate after I left. She was simultaneously also pretending I was still living with her, happily married and all, so her co-workers all thought I was aloof to her infidelity. I'm still very heartbroken by all of this. I adored and loved her for years, we had a life planned and we were just getting started on it all, only for her to blow it up because I was in a funk for a couple months. I've been hooking up with a couple girls, but it doesn't satisfy me at all. I feel like there is a void in my life now. I'm only 33, but I hate that I have rebuilt my life. Anyway, that's my story. Comment. If it's any consolation, she will be cheating on the new guy when he doesn't seem so shiny anymore. This is really common for professional students. They rely on a partner all through school, take their money for living and tuition, and then try to level up with another doctor or lawyer right around graduation and be rich people. My wife did the same thing over 30 years ago. In my experience, the cheaters get their karma pretty quickly. They both soon realize they are with people who are clearly capable of cheating to level up. The lack of trust will eat away at their relationship like acid, and the odds of failure are catastrophic. My advice is accelerate the divorce as much as possible, and ask for a huge settlement to compensate you for the time and money spent helping her get the degree. And finally and most importantly, tell everyone who will listen the actual story with all of the salacious details. If you don't, she will concoct a revised history which makes you the bad guy. This comment gave me chills because I suspect this is what my fiancé will do to me one day. He has let women flirt with him and he claims that they are being friendly, meanwhile 75% of my paychecks go to him completing school. I used to be so supportive of his dreams, but how I feel like a roommate and he can't seem to respect my feelings if he criticizes me. He is mature about his career but immature about handling basic feelings. Document all that money you're spending to pay for his education, and check with a lawyer on what your options are if he does leave you when he graduates, can you sue him then, etc. Something I just thought about is to ask the lawyer if it is legal there to get him to sign an agreement to repay you for every dollar spent on his education if he leaves you or cheats on you after he graduates. If something like this is legal where you live, then don't pay for any more classes until he signs. I think in time you'll be making another update. You'll be happy in your life, and she'll reach out, apologizing and hoping you'd like to try again because even with her great money-making job she'll never meet another man who'll make her happy. Ironically, that's how life goes. If you do shit to a person who was good to you, you get a lifetime of karma. Next story 2. Crush plays me and my friend for months. Strap in cause this is a roller coaster. During the COVID summer of 2020, this girl, we'll call her K, added me on Snapchat, and we got talking. We live in a very small area, so getting to know new people wasn't common, but we hit it off right away. K was pretty, very pretty, and the more we talked, and the more she flirted, the more attracted to her I got. We quickly became a thing, even meeting up at the park and kissing, and things were great for a few weeks. However, Kay loved to party, and since she was quite new in town and new to the country, partying was her main way to socialize. This is where things take a weird turn, as she meets someone else, a bad egg from my old class, there, and suddenly for the rest of summer gets in this in-between stage where she hangs out with this obviously bad guy, then calls to me for comfort and to vent about how bad he is, while still going back to him. It obviously took a toll on me, but she made it sound like if I just stopped talking to her, she'd end up with this guy, which I didn't want to happen. I was stupid, I know, but this guy manipulated my friends into not talking to me for years, so I obviously didn't want him to take Kay from me too. This situation ends with Kay saying she doesn't want a relationship with either, becoming enemies with the other guy, and friend-zoning me as a summer fling. Then she ghosts me because she got a boyfriend. Maybe a week after ending it with me. No joke. But that's really just the stage being set, it all goes to heck from here. Come January 2021, half a year has passed, and she messages me out of the blue saying she missed talking to me. And I missed talking to her too. So we FaceTimed like before and she started being very flirty. For example, she would mention my best friend and his girlfriend, how she is her BFF, and how it would be cool to go on double dates if we got together. And looking back now, I should have stepped away, but of course I still had a crush on her, and thought we could get together now that there wasn't another guy or any weird situation. But oh boy, was I wrong. Turns out there was another guy, a friend of mine actually, we'll call him M. Now I couldn't have known this at first because of the way she talking about him. Quote, "Ah, poor M wants to talk to me, I think he has a thing for me and you know he's a virgin, right?" Absolutely demeaning comments like that. But the two of them were apparently best friends and often had sleepovers and such. One day after a few weeks she comes clean, saying she's between M and I, not knowing which she wants to be with, saying she has feelings for both. She also says very clearly that she doesn't want a relationship, because she's recovering from her last breakup and she'll know what she wants by May. It's still January. She also tells me that she and M aren't a thing, and the sleepovers are because she's scared of her own room since that's where she got broken up by her last BF during Christmas. Fast forward a few months to early March, where over the past 2 months she's been hanging out with me and M, and sleeping over at M's place almost every other night. I start getting the feeling that I've been played and I confront Kay about it. She first got offended and mad at me that I said that, but eventually the truth came out. Kay and M were hooking up and the sleepovers were far from innocent and platonic as she claimed. And the reason I never found out or heard it from M, is because Kay was talking down about me to him, the same way she talked down about him to me, and he had no idea. I'm obviously hurt from this, and she told me that she had friend-zoned him to stay true to what she said about no relationships. This leads to the climax where M and Kay are drinking at M's place one night. Drunk, Kay texts me that she's sorry for everything and she's made up her mind, saying she only wants me and she's gonna completely leave M tomorrow and only be with me. And she wants a relationship. Obviously getting my hopes up, I tell her to text me about it in the morning and not when drunk. However, come next morning I don't hear from her, neither the next day, or any of the following 5 days. Come Monday, I finally get a hold of her and confront her about where she's been. Over FaceTime she tries to deflect question after question, until I finally ask if she had slept with M again, to which she answers that's private information and you don't have a right to ask that. Obviously I have the right to ask if she's played me once again, but that answer gave me all I needed to know. Hurt, I hung up the call and blocked her, and just to make it worse, just a few days after I saw that M posted they were officially together. As soon as I was out of the picture they got together. I felt hurt, betrayed, played, manipulated, etc. etc. But looking back now I'm glad I got out when I did, because I got a huge twist 5 months later. I was driving home partygoers and one of them was familiar, even though I hadn't seen him before. It was Kay's ex, who she said broke up with her during Christmas. However, talking to him I got hit with a bomb. She was the one who broke up with him at Christmas time, and regretted it a few days later. She then asked him to get together in secret, which they did, a secret that lasted from December to March. While playing me and sleeping with M, she also was in a secret relationship with another guy. She had played us all. And if you're wondering how M and K's relationship worked out, they broke up. And according to M, unsurprisingly, it's because she cheated. Thank you for reading. Comment. Sounds like she is a fun time. As long as you keep your feelings out of it. Did you actually sleep with her, or did she sleep with everyone else but you? Feelings were her main weapon, tbh. I can't even imagine the amount of favors or money was spent on her in that time. She often asked for a lot of things and M often obliged, buying them meals together or buying her alcohol for parties. I was a bit more conservative and cautious on that front. I feel bad for him. But no, I never slept with her. She often took steps back from me, actually. One time we were watching a movie and she put her arm around me, then quickly retracted it and said it was unfair to M that she did that. She didn't have those same boundaries for him, obviously. Furthest we got was a drunk kiss at a party, but I found out from M after they broke up that K and M ended up doing way more that same night. And again, M was never aware any of that happened.